As Stanford said, I am Paula, and I'm the Membership Engagement and Marketing Coordinator at Equity Arc. And I will be sharing an overview of our work, how you can get involved, and what plans are on the horizon. Here's a quick synopsis of what we'll go over today. So feel free to leave any comments and questions in the chat throughout the presentation, and we'll have time afterwards to answer any questions. So here's a brief overview of the work that we do at Equity Arc. We are a national coalition of member organizations and advocates with the mission to align, promote, and develop equitable opportunities for aspiring classical musicians from underrepresented ethnicities. And our vision is to create a level playing field for BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, people of color, musicians within the United States. And our values are collaboration, connectedness, and equity. And so this work began in 2018 as an informal volunteer working group that's made up of musicians and administrators looking to advance racial equity in classical music. And in 2020, the National Instrumentalist Mentoring and Advancement Network, or NIMAN, was formalized as a 501c3 nonprofit with a membership model. And this year we shifted our name to Equity Arc to better reflect our vision. And so our work is guided by the ARC concept, which was formerly known as the Bridge Matrix. And this came out of initial working group conversations to build a framework that addresses equity issues at various stages of musical development. And I'll share a bit more about that on later slides. We're currently finalizing our strategic plan with the board to establish long-term goals for our racial equity work. And on the program side, we collaborate with our members and partners to create them and programs that address various issues and equity gaps within the field. And so far, we've launched 3 initiatives: the Common Application for Summer Study, the National Collective for Musical Pathways, and the National Pathways Festival and Annual Convening. And so the Common Application for Summer Study is a resource for musicians of color to apply to partner festivals with one application and at no cost. Each partner also commits to providing at least one full tuition scholarship to our Common Application applicants, and our partners include festivals like Brevard, Tanglewood, and Interlochen. We've received over 300 applications during the 2023 application cycle. And so we also have partnered with Pathways programs across the nation that provide free and low cost and intensive musical training support for pre-college musicians of color. And we collaborated with them to form the National Collectives for Musical Pathways. And this space provides an opportunity for Pathways leaders and musicians to connect with and learn from each other, as well as take advantage of funding opportunities that are created with our foundation partners. Finally, we curate the National Pathways Festival and Annual Convening in partnership with local orchestras that are located within the host city. And this is an opportunity for musicians, teachers, parents, and administrators to strategize and support young musicians of color. So here's an overview of the ARC concept. It's a living framework that guides our work. In the 2019 convening, artists and administrators came together to determine what support musicians of color need to advance equity across each stage of musical development. And so those conversations led to the creation of the Bridge Matrix, which we now call the ARC concept, hence our name, Equity Arc. And the ARC concept identifies 5 areas for support that are needed at each stage of musical development, from entry, when one first learns to play an instrument, all the way to when they become professionals. And those areas of support include psychological and behavioral preparation, technical training, logistical and financial support, organizational support, and talent identification and opportunities. So the ARC concept is broken out further into specific challenges and resources that can meet those needs. So for example, at the entry and early stage within the area of support of psychological and behavioral preparation, we could ask what psychological components affect participation at a young age. And to answer this, we would and should engage with families and educators to provide entry points into instrumental instruction. And so we'll link this source in the chat so you can all have a more in-depth analysis. So now we'll transition into a closer look into our programs. Here's a bit more about our common application for summer study. So we just completed our second cycle of applications with 14 partners, and we'll share a complete report of those outcomes in June 27, which you're welcome to attend. It has been really amazing to see the benefits of having a shared audition list where students will only have to prepare one set of excerpts to be considered for admission to any of the partnered programs. And as I mentioned earlier, each partner commits to providing at least one full tuition scholarship to an accepted applicant, and each accepted candidate is automatically considered for financial aid. So if you're on this call and you have a summer program that you'd like to add to this initiative, feel free to reach out to us as we continue to plan for our 2024 launch. So I shared a little bit about the convening and festival in an earlier slide, but here are some of our highlights from the last convening in Cincinnati. So we heard powerful keynote addresses from Damari McGill and Kevin John Ayuse that framed and concluded the convening. And the National Pathways Festival Orchestra, it's made up of talented pre-college musicians in Pathways programs across the nation. They underwent a competitive audition process for the opportunity to play with and learn from music professionals. And so last March, they played side by side with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. They participated in mock auditions, and they shared their insights to the convening attendees. And so speaking of the convening, the attendees participated in breakout conversations that were focused on the pre-college, collegiate, pre-professional, and summer study stages of musical development. And each conversation brought out a number of action items that we will work with our members to refine and to implement. And we'll share a full report of this and next steps at the end of the month in our virtual session on May 24th. So here's a deeper overview of the National Collective for Musical Pathways. They're an alliance of rigorous pre-college musical training programs that provide opportunities to remove barriers from and accelerate progress of BIPOC classical musicians. And their vision is to create a space where Pathways graduates are irrefutably competitive and prepared to thrive in leading collegiate programs that prepare them for a sustainable career and performance. And their values are to respect, equity, collaboration, solutions, and change. So there are currently 13 members of the collective in Pathway cities across the country. And in addition to being a space for information sharing and support, members of the collective can access funding from the Paul and Angel Foundation. And we're excited to share that 8 members of the collective will receive $1.45 million in program support over the next 3 years. Members of the collective also can participate in consulting and strategy sessions, and their students of color have the opportunity to apply for the National Pathways Festival Orchestra and perform at the festival and convening. So here's an overview of who plays a role in shaping Equity Arc's journey. We are currently incubated by the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, who provides HR, IT, and finance support, but we work remotely across the United States. And we're excited that Stan has joined us full-time earlier this week after founding and leading Play on Philly for over a decade. He'll continue to provide visionary leadership to guide our work and to oversee our development strategy. McGee Capsuto is the general manager of Equity Arc. She oversees the implementation of our programs like the festival and convening and the common application. And I manage our member and marketing initiatives and look forward to engaging with you all further. And so this fall, we will expand our team to hire a member that oversees the needs of the Pathways Collective so that we can expand and grow our capacity to expand across other stages of the ARC. And our board of directors represents the voices of our members. They are leaders of programs and organizations that support musicians of color at pivotal stages of their journey, and their visionary leadership and expertise help advance our mission. And if you can't tell already, we're building a coalition to level the playing field in classical music, and we have 37 member organizations and counting. Our members serve various stages of the ARC from entry to professionals, and we collaborate with them to provide resources and support that advance racial equity in classical music. So we believe strongly in the power of collaboration and collective action and would love for you to join us. And so I'll share a little bit more about what membership at Equity ARC looks like. So currently we have 3 different member levels: active programs, supporting organizations, and individual memberships. An active program is for member organizations that train and support underrepresented instrumentalists with associated human and financial resources. Supporting organizations engage in equity work, but they don't yet have programs that are focused on supporting musicians of color. And individual members are for professional musicians, students, educators, music lovers, essentially anyone who's dedicated to creating equity for all classical musicians. And our membership dues allow us to provide services to our members and musicians. So organizational member dues are 0.07% of your organization's annual budget up to a cap of $2,500. And we also have a pay what you can option for organizations with budgets under $300,000. And individual member dues are $100 annually. Or if you are a student or a young professional under 30, then it's $25. On the side of our benefits, we have an overview of what we currently offer. The red star indicates benefits that are underway, like our musician database and research projects. And the yellow star represents benefits that are currently offered only to members of the National Collective for Musical Pathways. We are rolling our benefits out in tiers and working with members along the way. So our virtual event series is the next phase of benefits that we're rolling out. They're free to Equity ARC members and $25 to non-members. And each event will be paired with a digital resource for further study. And so we'll also host quarterly membership meetings where we'll provide project updates and solicit feedback from our larger membership. And you can find the virtual events on our website or sign up for our email list for updates. And so here's what's next for Equity ARC and some opportunities for you to join us. So we're building capacity to expand our programming to include some of the most highly requested resources. This includes the musician database that will serve as an informational and recruiting tool for administrators and faculty, as well as a resource for musicians to learn more about various programs and schools. We're currently in the planning stages of this with the goal of launching next year. We're also working to launch a mentorship program for BIPOC musicians. And we are curating a resource library of internal and external resources of articles, job listings, and tools that will be helpful for administrators and musicians alike. As I mentioned before, at the same time, we're continuing to grow our membership to have a substantial group of organizations at each stage of musical development with the goal of replicating the progress and the model that has been set forth by the National Collective for Musical Pathways. On the convening side, we are continuing to synthesize learnings from the convening, and we will share that report next month. And so, as I mentioned earlier about our virtual events, these are the dates for them that are coming up. And in the fall, we will launch our our 2024 Common Application for Summer Study. And we're excited that next April, we will have our second National Pathways Festival and annual convening, this time in partnership with Nashville Symphony. And so you're more than welcome to sign up for email updates in order to stay informed. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and we are now open to any feedback or questions that you may have for us. And we are looking forward to working together with you all to level the playing field in classical music. I will also drop my email in the chat, and so that we can stay in touch in case you have any questions you don't necessarily want to share here, but want to speak with me separately. And thank you so much for attending. And Stan or McGee, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Certainly, we'll just add to this presentation, Paula, that we are very, very excited about the initial work that we are doing through the National Collective for Musical Pathways. And as shared with you all, that in addition to a healthy amount of funding that will actually this month come through to help sustain several of these initiatives, that we're certainly looking forward to our time together in Nashville and how this national effort will progress as these young musicians are matriculating into just about every major music school in the country. We'll also be publishing a list of those schools that the pathway students were accepted to and those that they're committing to. Some of them actually are represented here in this meeting. And as those musicians go through their college experience and start to enter the professional world afterwards, we'll be very interested to work with a lot of organizations in making that pathway more equitable and just more opportunities for them to grow. I would say that one of the biggest things is also thinking about how we define that professional career, knowing that for these musicians to reach professional stages, their careers and kind of their portfolio and tool belt will include a lot of different skills. It could be in composing music, some administrative work that it always takes to make, musical projects happen, and very interested in how we will define and I think collectively shape their trajectories. So just want to make sure that there are no questions before.
I got something in the chat. There's a question that's about how we foresee, or if we foresee opportunities to include composers in our work and collaborations with partner orchestras.
So the answer to that overall is yes. I mean, that is something that we are exploring. And I would say that as we continue to convene musicians, that being able to hear from new voices in the field, especially those of color, will be an important part of our work. And thinking about how the musicians develop themselves, I'm thinking of several people from Jeff Scott, one of the founding members of Amani Winds, who now is building a career as a composer, Valerie Coleman, Jesse Montgomery, several of, professional performers that composition has played an important part in their musical identity and also their musical voice. So I think there's a question about how do we help some of these musicians develop those skill sets. And for those that want to build a full-time career as a composer, how do we also work with some partner organizations? So conversations have started with folks like Gabriella Lena Frank, who runs her own composition academy out of California, where she's from. And then we also are aware of several composer-based initiatives that are also doing some really great advocacy work in that regard, that we'll also be partnering with as well on some future initiatives. So, so yes, in a nutshell, compositions will become more of what we include and integrate in some of our programs and some of our thinking and advocacy. But trying to figure out the best way to do that over the coming years. All right. Well, thanks again for being with us. You'll get some more information from us. Looking forward to engaging with many of you, and just hope that you all have a great rest of your week.